Remodeling Garden Show, 21st through the 23rd. Remodeling Garden Show now at WMAL.com/contests.
Number 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811.
You little fucking punk.
Excuse me, before I look at all these federal district judge decisions. There's a multiplicity of them today.
I hate you fucking punks, motherfuckers.
Almost 100 cases being
fucking low-life motherfucker, Alvaro.
Public sector unionists.
Get a fucking life, Alvaro, you punk.
Attorneys General and slip and fall lawyers who are organizing and behind so much of it. Because this is how they intend to lead their insurrection and undo the last election. And I want to talk about this briefly. Trying to think of ways to explain this so the urgency of it is understood. These are federal district judges. They get lifetime appointments.
Alvaro, get a fucking life, you punk.
51.
Get a fucking job.
Many of them are extraordinarily.
No, we're not, Alvaro. You're a fucking punk.
We're almost a man and woman. Very.
Get the fuck out of my chat, or I'm going to ban every account you come in with.
Judges are still
fucking loser.
Out there. You have some judges appointed by Republicans who are never Trumpers. It's much like the Marxists and the Islamists. They have the same ends, even though, same means, even though they don't necessarily agree on the same ends. And as I go through these cases, I read this, and just to give you an example, let's see here if I can find this. Federal judge now has doubts about efforts to block Doge from government data. She, Chunkin of all people, just ruled that they can have access to federal data. And she would have been overruled if she said otherwise. Just a matter of time. But one after another, one has ordered the administration to put language back on websites. One has said that they have to give back a job to one particular bureaucrat with back pay. What? One said they do not support the position of the administration when it comes to transgender operations and so forth, so they put it on hold. I ask you, is this okay? And others. Federal judge reinstates employee appeals board member fired by Trump. Based on what? Federal judge issues order prohibiting massive layoffs, budget cuts at CFPB pending ruling on motion of preliminary injunction. This one, as I mentioned, judge orders HHS, CDC, and FDA, this is a Republican one. This guy Bates, to restore deleted web pages with health information, orders them to put it back. Judge questions motives of Trump's order banning transgender troops. Judge orders hearing over Trump's DOJ's bid to toss Eric Adams' corruption case, because the judge obviously doesn't like it. part of the Democrat cabal in there in New York. And it goes on. This is just today. So what do we have here? We have what's effectively an insurrection, a nonviolent insurrection. Call it a coup, if you will. We have a super legislature of unelected judges, just like the massive Communist Party operation in Communist China and other places. These people aren't elected. They're just chosen by each other. These judges are chosen by presidents. They're confirmed by the Senate, but they're not chosen by you. Their role has nothing to do with legislating. They're undermining representative government, and they're undermining the exclusive plenary power of the executive branch. Judge Chunkin today shocked me. She actually did something right. Good for her. We'll pat people on the back when they deserve it. She's the one judge today that said, no, you can have access to the data. There's nothing urgent here to stop it. And they need access to it, so they get access to it. Let's say, wow, she's the only one. I just think it's too passive to call this a super unelected legislature. It's a Politburo. It's a big Politburo where these people have seized for themselves the power to make these decisions, where they have none. They have no power to make these decisions. And so they're destroying separation of powers while pretending to uphold it. They're destroying the constitutional construct while pretending to enforce it. They're substituting their own opinions, their activism, for the decisions of an elected president. Now, you don't remember this happening under Biden, right? Almost 100 lawsuits brought to do this, that, or the other. No. When Joe Biden ignored the Supreme Court, that was fine. And he did it repeatedly. Repeatedly. When he ignored federal immigration law, that was fine. He did it repeatedly. When Obama put in place DACA, which is utterly unconstitutional, other than basically one federal judge in Texas has pointed it out, perfectly fine, no big deal. Courts aren't jumping in and doing anything about it. Because when central government grows, and the power of the federal government grows, and the power of the courts and the bureaucracy grow, that's okay. Constitution be damned. But when you have President Trump, Musk, Doge trying to rein in its own power, the executive branch trying to raise in its own power, the executive branch trying to control the number of its own employees, because we're headed towards bankruptcy financially, and trying to straighten things out in terms of our elected government, our representative government, that is Congress. You want to represent the people, but you can't continue to expand and empower and fund this massive Leviathan, this fourth branch of government, when we're only supposed to have three. And then you place it in the executive branch, so we now have an executive branch that's legislating without representation against the will of the man who runs the executive branch, the President of the United States. And the insurrectionists, these federal judges, the coosters, these federal judges, they're reinforcing it. Like I said, they've created a law for themselves. They have their own judges. The bureaucracy has its own judges. Ideologues, left-wing Democrat lawyers who were plucked from obscurity, whether they're professors or big-time law firm partners or whatever the hell they were, U.S. attorneys, defense lawyers, plucked from nothing, given power, and it goes to that. It's like a local HOA. Have you ever dealt with them, Mr. Producer? It's like a handful of morons in the neighborhood get a little bit of power and they can't control themselves. Well, the problem here is it's the federal government, it's these federal courts. John, you and I over the weekend, we also talked about this issue of a federal judge, one federal district judge. One. And Newt and I talked about this too. Issuing an order, whether it's a temporary restraining order leading to a temporary injunction, maybe leading to a permanent injunction, whatever, and applying it all over the country. So you have some schmo lawyer who becomes a judge, who's a judge in, let's say, Washington, D.C., putting out an order for the whole country. Now, that's kind of new. They're federal district judges, not federal national judges. Federal district judges. They're federal judges in the district that's been created by Congress. The federal judge has been created by Congress. The federal district has been created by Congress. And they decide on their own, you know what? I'm going to issue a temporary injunction, let's say, and apply it to every corner of the country. Wow, that's pretty damn powerful. Where's that? In any rule? Where's that in the Constitution? Nowhere. They don't have that power, but they're issuing it. Who's going to stop them? The court has to stop them, the High Court, the Supreme Court. But John Roberts is AWOL. Absolutely AWOL. I call him Hollywood John. He's so worried about how he's viewed by the media and Hollywood and all the rest. We need a Rehnquist, but unfortunately we have a Roberts. So what you are witnessing right now is a federal court insurrection, a coup of an elected president, the destruction of separation of powers and the basic authorities of the executive branch by these unelected lawyers in black robes. Unelected lawyers in black robes. And the idea that they're more righteous than the rest of us, the idea that they're more prudential or wise than the rest of us is bullcrap, is baloney. They're not. Especially now when they do what they're doing. How do they expect we, the people, to have respect for them when they don't have respect for the Constitution? Why is their opinion more important to us than when we read the text of the Constitution and we understand what the Constitution says and they reject it? So we're supposed to listen to them and respect them? They're destroying their credibility. They are destroying their credibility. Unless the other judges in those districts, the chief judge or others, unless the appellate judges, and ultimately unless the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court fixes this, the greatest damage to our Constitution in my lifetime is being done right now. Right now. By these so-called federal district judges, many of whom should never have been near a courthouse unless they were defendants. I'm not kidding. The place for a radical leftist is not a black robe in a courtroom. That's not where those people belong. They can be advocates, they can be petitioners, but no way should they be so-called judges. There's a poison that's been let loose within the federal judiciary. A poison that's been let loose. A department can't decide what to put on its website without a federal government ordering them to put language back. Is that not the most asinine thing you've ever heard? Or they don't have access to data on some of these courts so they can conduct audits? Have you ever heard anything like this? Or they can't thin out the workforce? I mean, nobody in the private sector could function this way, let alone the federal government. It's bloated. It's out of control. There's not just waste, fraud, and abuse. There is massive sums of money going to ideological causes, massive sums of money to redistribute wealth from one group to another, having nothing to do with need or welfare. $250 billion to $500 billion a year lost, they say, or misspent. And finally, we have a president who's trying to do something about it, and the judges step in and say, no, we get to decide. Them and their 2 law clerks, their 3 law clerks, they get to decide how to run the country. Nobodies who have no knowledge, no skill set, no experience to do any of this. Except bang a wooden hammer on the table and yell order in the court. I'll be right back.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Mark Levin here. Folks, I believe every election could have an impact on our financial system, and post-election changes are important to pay attention to. Whether it's when inflation is high, government spending, or changes in tax laws, your investment portfolio can be affected, your savings, your pension, your salary. That's why I've always relied on gold for diversification and protection. It's been said to be a timeless safeguard against economic uncertainty, and one that I encourage you to educate yourselves about. When it comes to gold, there's only one company I trust, and that's Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and that's who I turn to. Call 800-900-8000 now for a free gold investment kit to see how you can help protect your hard-earned finances and diversify your portfolio. And when you do, you might even qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Don't wait. 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary, and you should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Calverton, the disabled truck has been cleared from 95 northbound the service road at the Intercounty Connector. All lanes are open, but traffic is jammed up from the Beltway. You will find delays on the Beltway inner loop headed from Old Georgetown Road to 450 Annapolis Road with emergency road work along the two right lanes. Also slow headed from 66 to the 270 spur. Outer loop is heaviest from the toll road to the Little River Turnpike and from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Earlier police activity in the district has been cleared from Georgia Avenue between Princeton Place and New Hampshire Avenue. All lanes have been reopened. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch and Forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy, a low around 20. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Afternoon flurries, highs in the mid-20s to lower 30s.
Attention taxpayers. The IRS is intensifying collections in 2025. If you owe $10,000 or more or have unfiled tax returns, it's time to take action. Tax Network USA's experienced lawyers have saved clients over $1 billion. They're ready to negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Don't risk wage garnishment, property seizure, or losing your home. Call 1-800-278-9000 today. Get the help you need at 1-800-278-9000 or visit tnusa.com.
LifeLock, during tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control, stopping off at payroll, your accountant or a tax preparer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info in your W-2. Just a ticket for criminals to steal your identity. I had my identity stolen. It was horrible. I got LifeLock. I've been a customer ever since. I've never, ever had that problem again. No wonder the IRS reported tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. Get LifeLock today. Don't get your identity stolen. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you can miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, backed by the $1 million protection package. Restoration's guaranteed or your money back. Don't mess around with this stuff. I dealt with this for a long time before I had LifeLock. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now, save up to 40% for your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock, use promo code Bongino, or go to lifelock.com/Bongino for 40% off. Terms apply. Do it today.
Hi, I'm James. Professional cab driver party. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Former U.S. Navy SEAL Sean Ryan captures real stories about sacrifice and strength.
My biggest fear wasn't death. My biggest fear was nobody will remember me.
That motivates a lot of people. Just make
feel invincible.
Open the steel door. They were all convinced, I think, that they were about to die.
This rush of stress comes over me because now it's soul time.
All of a sudden, I'm saying, what is really important? Let us reveal the truth of ourselves. That's it.
The Sean Ryan Show. Listen on your favorite platform.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish@wish.org.
Attention taxpayers. The IRS is intensifying collections in 2025. If you owe $10,000 or more or have unfiled tax returns, it's time to take action. Tax Network USA's experienced lawyers have saved clients over $1 billion. They're ready to negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Don't risk wage garnishment, property seizure, or losing your home. Call 1-800-278-9000 today. Get the help you need at 1-800-278-9000 or visit tnusa.com.
WMAL, making sense of the forecast. Because you never know what Mother Nature has in store. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
One of my favorite senators is Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. He's a great patriot, served in the military in combat, not on, spaghetti patrol. He's a thoughtful man. He supports the defense of this country, the defense of our allies, the state of Israel. He understands real world dangers in politics. He's always supported securing the border. He's a down the line conservative. Now there's these efforts to intimidate him and threaten him. And let me tell the people who think that they can intimidate him, who think they can beat him in a primary. We will rise up here, we Levinites, we conservatives, we real MAGA, make America great again. We were make America great again when Ronald Reagan used that phrase in 1984. We rose up and we helped elect Donald Trump, one of the great presidents ever. We're not going to be intimidated. It's not going to happen. We're going to have debates over candidates. Hopefully all of them will get through. But this isn't some kind of a fascist or Marxist operation. You intimidate people, try and chase them off the public square. What do you think this is, modern day Germany? It's not going to work. And I will make sure it never works. If there are people out there who are leftists, who are truly undermining Donald Trump, truly undermining this crucially important agenda, I'll be the first one to talk about it, and we will lead the effort. But we know how to get involved in politics. We know how to get involved in primaries. Ask Rand Paul and Mike Lee. Ask Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. Ask the entire Tea Party movement, or the Convention of States movement, the early Reagan Revolution, and yes, MAGA, as we use this microphone to help save and promote this country. All this little effort by the Lilliputians to rise up, organize a little revolution against somebody like Cotton, not going to fly. Or if it does fly, it's not going to fly well. I can promise you that. Right here behind this microphone, I can promise you that. I want to talk about Russia when we come back. I'm glad to know that Russia really wants peace, that Russia has changed, that Putin's done kidnapping Americans. I'm glad to hear all that. I think that's what I heard. I'll be right back. When I first learned about the basics of estate planning, it was driven home to me the importance of protecting my family. We all know about creating a will or building a trust, but what people don't know about are how documents can be misconstrued if not properly done. You don't want to leave your assets vulnerable to the government's decisions. That's why I recommend Trust and Will. Be prepared. Protect your family by managing your will or trust online. Trustandwill.com. Use code MARK. You'll get 10% off at trustandwill.com, code MARK.
Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. It is not a law firm. See trustandwill.com for details.
You know, Americans love using their credit cards, one of the most secure and hassle-free ways to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com, guardyourcard.com, paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Media station, making sense of the news. Going on. News now.
WMAL News at 6:30. I'm Heather Curtis. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky postpones a trip to Saudi Arabia tomorrow after the U.S. and Russia excluded him from a meeting there today to talk about ending the war. Zelensky says it's critical negotiations to end the war aren't happening behind the backs of key parties affected. President Trump responds.
When they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and made a deal a long time ago? You could have made a deal.
President Trump says he'll meet with Russian President President Vladimir Putin before the end of this month. A bill banning hidden fees is on its way to Governor Glenn Youngkin's desk after passing the state Senate today. The bill requires businesses, including hotels and concert venues, to show you the final cost, including fees, up front instead of waiting until you go to the checkout. Up next, traffic and weather.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS.
SIDS?
You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
No one knows music like Rolling Stone. Senior writer Brian Hayden talks the biggest music news from the biggest stars.
Rock Beyonce. So there's a whole lot to talk about. Bodyguard, that's kind of your song. Did you originally intend it for Beyonce?
Everything is for me in the beginning.
Okay. Take us through the life story of the Notorious B.I.G.
You're this 14-year-old kid who feels like a prodigy.
We're also supposed to have an interview with Ghostface Killah, but he kind of ghosted on us, which I guess is appropriate.
Rolling Stone music now. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Making sense of Washington.
So it happened again? Is that what you're telling me? Yet another guest of this program now has a job in the Trump administration.
Vince Colonnade, 6 p.m.
The Trump transition team is spending a lot of time on WMAL.com looking at all of the guests who have appeared on this program, which does bring a smile to my face. I do like that. People are getting good jobs.
Vince Colonnade, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related
I'm making dinner.
degeneration or diabetic retinopathy.
Fish sandwich and collard greens.
Warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision.
Yeah, I buy canned collard greens, the southern style. They're pretty good.
Notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Making sense of your money. The state of the economy.
This ain't a kid's chat, Alvaro.
Weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
The kind of thing I pay attention to. I'm working at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
This ain't for you to play in.
Blowing out your birthday candles should be easy, but if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath.
Ignorant fucker. You are one, you and your little fucking crew, Alvaro, are a bunch of ignorant motherfuckers. You know, JC will entertain you, but I'm not gonna.
Making sense of your world. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. There's a lot of us out there making sense of the news.
Who's driving the media? Well then, pull in with your outbreak. 877-381-3811.
You know, one thing I learned during the course of knowing President Trump the past several years is he knows what he's doing. He always has a plan. Sometimes you can't be sure at surface level because he does things in a way, step by step, that are intended to lead to a result. He doesn't shoot from the hip, regardless of how the media reports it. And he is very earnest about it. He's very committed to it. And he makes fantastic decisions. He just does. I've told you many times, he's historic, he's iconic. And the sad day when he is gone, you're going to miss him a lot. Not just because of who he is, but because of what he is and what he does. And so I have faith in him. For instance, when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. And so sometimes I take a second look, say, what does that mean? And so forth and so on. And so today they're meeting in Saudi Arabia. The role that Saudi Arabia had in 9/11 still is not utterly transparent, and it ought to be. And the parties meeting are the United States and Russia. Now, it's a little different, isn't it? There's two parties to the war. There are others involved in it, but two main parties, two principals, Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine's not there. I don't know why Ukraine's not there. I don't know why, and I'm not going to speculate. Just seems kind of different. And Europe is not there. Europe obviously is the heart of NATO. So that seems a little different too. So I think to myself, no, why would we be doing that? Are we selling out Ukraine? I don't think we are. I don't think Trump wants to sell out Ukraine at all. I think he's trying to get and nail down the Russians first before he brings in the other parties. I don't think that means he's going to capitulate to the Russians any more than he'll capitulate to North Korea or Communist China. So you got to give him a little bit of room. We'll know soon enough what's going on. What I don't like is, and I'm not going to mention the guy because he gets upset, but when, you had a trio of guys there. You had Witkoff, Rubio, and Waltz. And one of them comes out and says, we've made great progress with Russia. And so it's like, Qatar is doing God's work. Why do we have to say such ridiculous things? In my humble opinion. It's just my opinion. What do I know? Putin hasn't changed. He's a murderer. He's an assassin. He's the one that keeps threatening to use nuclear weapons against us. Ukraine doesn't even have nuclear weapons. Ukraine agreed to give up their nuclear weapons in 1994 with the promise of Russia, Britain, and we, the United States, would protect them. And that Russia would not invade them. But of course, that's what Russia does. They invade all the time. Ukraine didn't invade Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine has not been permitted to attack Russian cities in any significant way. Russia's had free rein at attacking Ukraine cities. They say that Zelensky is not popular. Not popular in Ukraine. I heard a question asked by the Fox reporters saying, are we saying that there has to be an election in Ukraine? Well, there hasn't been one in a long time, I believe the president said. You have effectively martial law. And I kind of laughed. I said, wow, those elections in Russia really are pretty cool, aren't they, Mr. Producer? What does Putin win by like 98%? And last time I checked, his major opponent is now dead. He was suffering in prison for all those years, and now he's dead. I don't think Russia should have any say about the internal affairs of Ukraine any more than Ukraine can have the say about the internal affairs in Russia. But we have Donald Trump. We have Mike Waltz. We have Pete Hegseth, even though he wasn't there. We've got Rubio, some others. And so I don't, this isn't Biden. This isn't Clinton. This isn't Obama. We have back-channeling ratfinks surrounding the president in ways that undermine the United States and our national security the way they were operating with Iran. So we'll wait and see how this works out. Time will tell. And now this same little cabal that I've been talking about for the last few days, not at length because it's not worth it. They're kind of Putin files. They say almost nothing negative about Putin, and they just beat the crap out of Zelensky. You know, I look at Zelensky. They say, look at Zelensky shut down media outlets. Abraham Lincoln shut down media outlets. Look at Zelensky. He's put people in jail without any due process rights, and he doesn't do it often, but Lincoln suspended habeas corpus. When the United States, when our country was at risk, there's certain things that were done. But Zelensky's had his hands tied behind his back. His military has. They've not been able to go on the offensive for the most part. They've been playing defense. And playing defense costs a lot of money, our money. Playing defense costs a lot of lives, their lives. Because there's no impetus for Russia to stop what they're doing under a dictator who just throws his soldiers, many of whom are conscripted, many of whom don't want to be there, just throws them into the grinder one after another, one after another, and one after another. And then North Korea kicks in and they throw their soldiers in, apparently are very poor, one after another into the grinder. That's the way it works, so forth and so on. And they remind people, most of you are incredibly smart. You probably remember this already. Remember that call between Trump and Zelensky? And this guy, Vindman, and others tried to use it and did to impeach Donald Trump. Remember all that, Mr. Producer? Who came to Trump's defense? Zelensky. Remember what he said? So it was a perfectly legitimate call. I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel I was being blackmailed or anything about weapons. And President Trump cited him over and over again. And Zelensky was right, and Trump was right. I have no animus towards Zelensky. I love the people of Ukraine. I love the people of Russia. My ancestry's both. But Putin is a warmonger. I just want to remind Mike Lee what a warmonger is. Putin is a warmonger. Putin. Vladimir Putin is a warmonger. That's what he is. And if we leave NATO, as I'm told he suggested, he will roll through Europe. We won't have the ability, certainly with the way Biden has undermined our military, to all of a sudden start sending tanks and troops and confront, and there's your World War III. The whole point about NATO is to prevent World War III. Maybe I ought to do a little special class, an education class on this, Mr. Producer. What do you think? For members of the Senate and House and some of the reprobates out there, to inform them about a little bit of European history and World War II and so forth and so on. See, we MAGA, Make America Great Again, we conservatives, constitutional conservatives, we Trumpites and Reaganites, we're not stupid. We don't just march in line behind bumper stickers. We don't want our children and grandchildren killed on battlefields. We don't want forever wars. We're America firsters. We don't blame America for war. We don't blame America for never-ending wars. We support America. We support our military. We don't support all the generals, and God knows we don't support certain of these commanders-in-chief. That's who we are. We don't blind ourselves to who Xi is, and Un is, and Putin is. They may need to be negotiated with and talked to. Reagan, he talked to the Soviets. Nixon started talking to the communist Chinese. Trump started talking to North Korea. It's done. It's okay. It's done. I don't have a problem with it. President will decide the best way to protect America. But don't kiss Putin's ass. And don't pretend that he's some kind of, I don't know, not being a Putinoid. I don't know. But Zelensky, for his part, was never going to roll over and play dead when this country's invaded. Of course, he's going to beg the United States and the European countries for arms because we took all of his nuclear weapons away. We gave them to the Russians, for God's sakes, in 1994. So he had no way to really threaten Russia. They didn't have a big arms industry. Ukraine's a relatively small country. Israel's a very small country. Putin's being armed by communist China. He's being armed by Iran, being armed by North Korea, and of course, arming themselves. If Ukraine stands alone, Ukraine is rolled over. It's over. And those Ukrainian people, they are brave. Nobody expected this to last as long as it did. Nobody expected it to last more than a month. Ask General Keane. Ask General Kellogg. Ask them all. Nobody expected it. These people want to survive and they want to live in a relatively free country. They don't want to be controlled by Russia. This has been going on for 1,000 years or so. There are good guys and bad guys. The Ukrainians are the good guys. They didn't invade anybody. The Russians, and I don't mean the Russian people, the Ukrainian people. I'm talking about the body politic, of course. Russians are the bad guys. It's the Russians that backed the Assad regime in Syria that slaughtered 500,000 of its own people. Maybe people don't remember that. Maybe people just don't give it there. It's the communist Chinese that conquered Hong Kong and threatened Taiwan as I speak, and threatened the United States of America. Not Ukraine. Communist China, Russia. The North Koreans are on a nuclear building spree. It's too late if you just wake up to it all. And all the figures are in place and all the actions are in place. And I'm against these never wars. What did I say? The battle between good and evil is never over. Those of us who have faith, those of us who read the Bible, we know the battle between good and evil is never over. We know the book of Genesis, the very first book. Just because people declare as podcasters or radio hosts or whatever the hell they are, I'm tired of these forever wars, or a senator from some state, I'm tired of these forever. We're all tired of forever wars, you idiots. We're tired of incompetent commanders in chief. We happen to have a great one right now. We're tired of incompetent generals and admirals. That's not the same thing as appeasing an enemy or closing your eyes to it. Stupid. Very stupid. Didn't we learn that in the lead up to World War II? There's Tojo in Japan. There's Mussolini in Italy. There's Hitler in Germany. They have an alliance. They're building. They're getting stronger and stronger. Their militaries are getting stronger and stronger. They start to bump off their neighbors. And we still have these people in the United States who are isolationists. Well, there's a big ocean between us and them. It's none of our business. We're not this. We're not that. Then they attack us. Why do you think China's building the military it's building? To attack the damn Philippines? No. To attack Taiwan? No. For God's sakes. Why do you think they're in our hemisphere? Why do you think they're on both ends of the Panama Canal? Why do you think they have the ability to knock out our satellites and our electrical system? Why do you think? They want to build military bases in Antarctica. Because they're trying to smother us. That's why. Never wars. Forever for never wars. Forever wars. War is war. We don't call the shots. Sometimes other countries cause the war. I thought we believed in America first. So why are we blaming ourselves? I'll be right back.
What? News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. It's the largest conservative political gathering of the year. CPAC 2025 at National Harbor, February 19th through the 22nd. Be a part of the action. Listen to O'Connor and Company and the Vince Colonnade Show live from CPAC
Sponsored by AARP. O'Connor and Company broadcasts live Thursday and Friday mornings. Vince Colonnese, Thursday and Friday afternoon, live from CPAC. Coverage is sponsored by AARP on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Still go on the inner loop of the Beltway between 66 and the 270 spur, and again from 355 to University Boulevard. More delays from 95 to 450, but the work zone there has been cleared away. Outer loop very heavy from 295 to Branch Avenue. Also, you will find delays on the outer loop through Tysons and from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Slow going traffic right now on 270 northbound between the Spur and Falls Road, and from 370 headed towards Middlebrook Road. And you will still find accident activity in Spotsylvania that has westbound Courthouse Road closed between Hood Drive and Levels Road. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch Sun forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy, a low around 20. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Afternoon flurries, highs in the mid-20s to lower 30s.
Be the first to hear what everyone's talking about.
The Grammys, the election. I don't even know what this show is, but because it's blowing up on my feed, I have to know. Did you watch the game, though?
It's the Cumulus Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Blowing out your birthday candles should be easy, but if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath. Early diagnosis and treatment can add years to your life. If you have symptoms like wheezing or chronic cough, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just saw the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Are you looking for a voice that truly represents your values? AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, was created to champion the needs of Americans who believe in faith, family, and freedom. Members gain access to incredible member benefits and discounts, including the award-winning AMAC magazine, from exclusive discounts on travel, insurance, everyday services, to a strong voice in Washington. The Association of Mature American Citizens is here to make a difference in your life and in our nation. Anybody at any age can join. In honor of President Trump's first 100 days in office, AMAC is offering an incredible deal. Incredible. Enroll in a 5-year AMAC membership for 47% off. Normally it's $60. Join today. It's $32. Visit amac.us/LEVIN. That's amac.us/Levin. Join today. Take advantage of this special offer. That's amac.us/Levin. Join AMAC and become part of a movement that stands for you, your family, and your future.
Making sense of your world. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. The Vince Colonnese Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something that just should shock you from the top of your head to your heels. The top of your head to your heels, because we've never seen anything like this. This is in the New York Post. Doge discovers $4.7 trillion in Treasury payments were missing critical code. Traceability of $4.7 trillion is now almost impossible. We're not talking about 100 million. We're not talking about 100 billion. We're not talking about 1 trillion. We're talking about $4.7 trillion, for God's sakes. The entire economy, the gross domestic product in the United States in 1 year, is just under $18 trillion. They don't know where $5 trillion went. And they want to nationalize health care. They want to run every damn part of our lives. The idea that we give these people this kind of authority, and I'm going to circle back on this, is nuts. Nuts. This country was founded on freedom from a country that forced us to buy their rotten tea, then tried blockading us when we dumped their tea into the ocean. How did that work out? Not well for them. Well, it's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard, too. You don't need to pay $100 a month just to get a free phone, and it's $100 a month per person in your family. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, based here in America, founded by a veteran, patriotic employees, says no to inflated prices. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0, nothing. Yes, this is for premium service on America's most dependable 5G network. Get your iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy for $0, with a qualifying plan by dialing pound 250, say the keyword Mark Levin, and Pure Talk's U.S. people will help you quickly. Their customer service team will help you make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless priced right for you. So dial pound 250 right now, pound 250, say the keyword Mark Levin. Claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with qualifying purchase from Pure Talk, America's wireless company, my wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details. That's 1 hour, 2 more powerful hours. And don't forget, you can listen to all 3 hours, if you go to Mark Levin's show in YouTube. That's one way. Or go to your favorite podcast platform and just look up the Mark Levin show. That's simple. Or just listen to the radio station. I'll be right back.
Making sense of your world. I can't believe that. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
So with you.
Making sense of the news.
Every 15 seconds, someone is diagnosed with cancer. If it's happened to you or someone you love, the American Cancer Society can help at every step of the journey. Visit cancer.org today.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
EAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Modern day parenting is tough. Don't just take my word for it, though I will say I am the father of 3 teenage girls. Well, last year, the nation's top doctor, Vivek Murthy, issued a Surgeon General advisory about parental stress. And on a recent episode of my podcast, Chasing Life, parenting expert Dr. Becky explained that things are harder today in large part because of technology. Here's the issue. Technology has made us come to expect instant gratification for just about everything in our lives. But parenting is very high effort for very delayed gratification. So she told me the number one thing you can do is swap selflessness for sturdy leadership. That running yourself ragged just to please everyone else is not healthy. Kids don't need selfless martyrs. They need sturdy leaders, she said. Carve out time for you and make it happen. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Today, are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at DonorShoes.org.
French Washington, U.S. media station. Making sense of the news. News.
WMAL News at 7. I'm Heather Curtis. Breaking this hour, the Senate has just confirmed Howard Lutnick to lead the Commerce Department, a key role for President Trump's trade agenda. Earlier today, the president said he'll make a formal announcement in April, but plans to impose at least a 25% tariff on cars shipped to the U.S.
And it'll go very substantially higher over the course of a year.
He says he wants to give companies time to set up shop in the U.S., though, to avoid those tariffs. A federal judge says he'll decide sooner rather than later whether to temporarily block the Trump administration's mass layoffs while a lawsuit brought by federal employee unions moves forward. He says the case may ultimately hinge on whether enough people were fired to thwart the purposes that Congress had in mind when authorizing agency funding. The unions argue that cuts conflict with Congress's power to shape the size and direction of agencies through funding decisions. Attorneys for the Trump administration say the unions haven't shown they're facing the kind of irreparable damage that would justify stopping the firings. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin says he understands that federal workers are anxious.
This isn't about the workers who I know are really, really, really scared. This is about stepping back and making sure that tax dollars are being appropriately managed and deployed. And yet that is not any way to help people deal with the real concerns and anxiety that they have.
He says the state's preparing to provide as much support as possible to people who lose their jobs. New this hour, the search is on in D.C. tonight for two brazen men who allegedly opened fire near two cops conducting an unrelated traffic stop this afternoon. The officers have pulled a driver over on Georgia Avenue in Quebec Place Northwest around 3:30 p.m. When Ramey Kyle with D.C. Police says
they observed two individuals firing weapons in the 700 block of Quebec Place Northwest. In response, one of our officers drew his weapon and fired in the direction of those two suspects.
Kyle says they don't think anyone was hit by the shots fired by the men or the officer. He doesn't know if the men were shooting at anything in particular. They ran off when the officer fired in their direction. Data centers are known for bringing in big bucks, but also for generating lots of pushback due to noise and proximity to neighborhoods, as well as skyrocketing energy use and costs.
Virginia State Senator Danica Rome is supporting two remaining data center bills in Richmond, one on the energy costs, the other giving local governments more authority on data center placement.
You know, we're getting some small. I'll take small.
Senator Rome's own demand response bill to protect residents, not data centers during peak energy use, has been referred for more study. Barbara Brett, WMAL and WMAL.com.
You would be able to buy beer and wine in Maryland grocery stores under a bill being considered in the state legislature.
It sounds like we're trying to push our customers who would buy beer and wine out of our small businesses into these very large, obviously out-of-state retailers. And I don't know how that math.
Delegate C.T. Wilson not alone in reacting to a proposal that would allow grocery stores and others to jump into the beer-wine game. Delegate Jesse Pippy.
To suggest that if I'm allowed to put the beer and wine from the Class A into the grocery store, that's not going to impact that small business. It's crazy.
Westmore supports the idea, as does Kaylee Locklear with the Retailers Alliance, but
our food retailers do not want to hurt existing liquor stores.
Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
Other next.
This podcast is sponsored by Laurel Road. At Bigger Pockets, we're always trying to find ways to help you maximize your buying power. So check out Laurel Road. Laurel Road's banking and lending solutions include student loan refinancing, mortgages, personal loans, student loan cashback credit cards, tailored savings accounts, and more. And right now, for a limited time, Laurel Road's high-yield savings account has an annual percentage yield that's up to 10 times the national saving rates. That's way more than the savings rate you could get from some of those giant banks. The fully digital account they offer features 0 monthly service fees, it has no minimum balance requirement, and it costs $0 to open. So visit laurelroad.com/pockets to learn more. Laurel Road, your partner on the road to financial peace of mind. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Working hard is worth it if you're seeing results. And when it comes to working out, the same thing is true. You want the maximum benefit in the time you have, and that's exactly what Tonal is built for.
And with their latest iteration, Tonal 2, you can ensure your workout is more tailored and effective than ever. Tonal's at-home strength training system uses adaptive weight to learn from your movement and set the optimal weight for every move, adjusting in 1-pound increments up to 250 pounds, challenging even the most advanced users to push their limits. You can also experience a full-body burn with the new Arrowhit workouts, the perfect blend of heart-pumping cardio and strength. Plus, the new built-in Smart View leverages a high-resolution camera that lets you see yourself during your workout, analyzes your movement, and provides real-time coaching, just like a personal trainer. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code TONAL200. That's Tonal.com and use promo code TONAL200 for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com, promo code TONAL200 for $200 off.
Here's Michelle Marie in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Couple of street closures now in the district due to police activity. That includes Georgia Avenue north and southbound between Lamont Street and Newton Place. And Park Road is closed between Water Street and Georgia Avenue, so to be aware of that. Still also going the BW Parkway northbound, very heavy through Cheverly from 202 to 197 and southbound is so from 198 to Powder Mill Road. You'll still find delays on the Beltway inner loop through Bethesda in towards College Park, and the outer loop is slow from 295 to Branch Avenue, and still a slow go from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Clouds increase overnight, teens and lower 20s early tomorrow morning. Light snow is likely tomorrow afternoon with a few flurries. Temperatures mid-20s to lower 30s. Morning snow showers Thursday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now in Washington, 32 degrees. I'm Heather Curtis on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Now broadcasting from the underground tunnels here in the bowels of a hidden bunker somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building. We've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. By the way, I spoke briefly to President Trump last night. He is in great spirits. Great spirits. He's doing great things. We couldn't be prouder. In fact, he just announced on Truth Social that all the remaining Biden U.S. attorneys are to be fired immediately. This is very important. These are presidential appointees, and he needs his presidential appointees. His. And just keep something in mind. I think today marks the 4th week of his presidency. Is that right? Something like that, right, Mr. Producer? It's amazing what he's accomplished. Just amazing. But I want to get back to this story. In the New York Post, the Department of Government Efficiency announced that some $4.7 trillion in payments from the Treasury Department were missing a critical tracking code, which made tracing the transactions, quote, almost impossible. 4.7 trillion. The transactions were reportedly missing the Treasury account symbol, TAS. And identify. There's the Treasury Department, right? It's supposed to be the gold standard in these federal bureaucracy, right? Look at it. They're all a mess. They're all a disaster. Now, this TAS identification code links a Treasury payment to a budget line item, according to Doge, which described the use of such code as standard financial process. Right, Treasury Department? Do you know what the hell you're doing, Treasury Department? In the federal government, the TAS field was optional. For $4.7 trillion in payments, it was optional. It was often left blank, making traceability almost impossible. The Elon Musk-led project to curb waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government said, in light of the discovery, use of the TAS code is now mandatory. Wow, we got to get a federal judge to opine on that, don't we, America? What are these kook left-wing lawyers? I wonder if Lindsey Graham voted for these kook left-wing lawyers. Lindsey must touted the change as a major improvement in Treasury payment integrity, I'll say. You know, this guy Musk, I've told you before, I don't know him. I met him in passing once, a little different, but it doesn't really matter. He's helping Trump save the country. And I don't know who these people are who are working for them. They all deserve recognition. They all deserve special awards, including Musk. What they're doing is heroic. And none of it would be done but for the fact that Donald Trump is president of the United States. Heroic. And all these clowns on the left, the Democrats, the media running around, unconstitutional. They send in their slip and fall ambulance chasing lawyers to go to the formerly slip and fall ambulance chasing lawyers who are now judges. This was a combined effort of Doge, Treasury, and the Federal Reserve, Musk tweeted. Nice work by all. Now, the Treasury Department, which facilitates trillions of dollars worth of government payments every year, was one of the first agencies Doge embedded itself in after President Trump's inauguration. This is why there was a lawsuit to try and prevent them from getting access to data so they could cover up the $4.7 trillion. This is why there's a lawsuit to try and prevent them from getting their hands on the data at the Social Security Administration, so they wouldn't find the 50 to 100 billion damn dollars stolen out of their Social Security trust funds every single year. There are literally millions of payments that are being made, and they don't know who they're going to. Millions of payments. As President Trump said today at his press conference, some people who are 150, 120 years old, in other words, they don't exist. They either never existed or they're long dead, and those checks are going out and people are cashing them. They're stealing right under our eyes. And the Democrats say, this is unconstitutional. We got to get rid of these people. Yeah. And they have their favorite judges. This is not some roving band. This is methodical, and it's going to yield big savings, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said of Doge during a Bloomberg TV interview last week. And Doge recently proposed deleting paper checks at Treasury, arguing that it would save taxpayers, ready for this, just by deleting paper checks, $750 million a year, almost $1 billion. In other words, direct payments and direct deposits would be better. Now, in fiscal year 2023, some $25 billion in tax refunds were delayed or lost due to return to expired checks, according to Doge. So we found out there's like a lime mine where they have all the paperwork for when people retire, so they can only process 10,000 retirements a month. People go, what the hell is this? And now you see with the paper checks, they could save almost $1 billion, and $25 billion is most recently in 2023, payments were lost. And keep something in mind, the Democrats and the bureaucracy and the judges and the media, they don't think the government's big enough. They don't think you pay enough taxes. They don't think it's big enough. And we blame the billionaires. I blame them. Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, what is Congress's job if it's not oversight? Oversight. What has Bernie Sanders done to oversee this? Nothing. Elizabeth Warren, nothing. Hakeem Jeffries, nothing. Chuck Schumer, nothing. What about the Republicans, Mark? Let me tell you something. The Republicans can't get information out of the bureaucracy. That's the darn honest truth. Even the President of the United States, a Republican. Look what they have to do. Look what they have to do. It's terrible. $4.7 trillion. Every day you wake up, you read this stuff. It gets crazier and crazier, doesn't it? The numbers get worse and worse. You hear our buddy Zeldin over there at the EPA. Do you know that they pushed $20 billion out of the door starting in September and then escalated it even further 1 week before Donald Trump was sworn in, right after the election? They pushed it out to their favorite left-wing groups, radical left-wing idiots. $20 billion. It's sitting there in a slush fund with a bank. $20 billion. And they always tell us we can't cut anymore. What do you want to cut? Head Start? You want to cut food stamps? No, we want to cut this crap right here. Some of that too, by the way. But that said, and they do it again. Look at this. They fired the nuclear workers back there. Okay. And they're going to hire them back. They're going to hire them back. But look what these Democrats do. Look how they spend. Look at the radicals. And they tell you your taxes aren't high enough. You're not paying enough into it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're way overtaxed. We're paying way too much into this into this disaster. It's disgusting. And it is fantastic what's being done here. Because the Democrat Party will never be the same. We will make sure of it. They're not only radical kooks, they don't only put party ahead of country, but now they stand for waste, fraud, and abuse. And their lawyers are in court and their judges trying to prevent not only this kind of abuse, but even discovering it. Think about that. Yes. Look at this from the Associated Press. Insists on calling the Gulf of America the Gulf of Mexico. Why? Because it hates America. That's why. It's that simple. That simple. Why are you calling it the Gulf of Mexico? It's not Mexico's. And Trump's point is, most of the shoreline in the Gulf of America is on the American continent. Well, we're going to call it the Gulf of Mexico. Might as well call it the Gulf of Guatemala. Anyway, Republicans consider cuts in work requirements for Medicaid, jeopardizing care for millions. Well, what is Medicaid? It's not Medicare. It's many things, but its essential core function, and the reason Medicaid was created in 1965, was to help provide medical assistance to people who couldn't afford it. That is, for the poor. So the definition of the poor keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. So it's not just the poor, but it's people who can't find work. So they're saying, look, you want Medicaid, you got to show that you're making an effort to get a job. You got to show that there's an available job. You take that. If you can't do that, oh my God. Just like when the federal workers are at home, only 6% of them are showing up for work. What's the big deal? Republicans are weighing billions of dollars in cuts to Medicaid, they say, threatening health care coverage for some of the 80 million U.S. adults and children enrolled in the safety net program. That's not what they're proposing. They're saying people who are able-bodied and mentally fit should work as a condition of getting health care from you, the American people. Oh, that's so radical. I'll be right back.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof and massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Working hard is worth it if you're seeing results. And when it comes to working out, the same thing is true. You want the maximum benefit in the time you have, and that's exactly what Tonal is built for. And with their latest iteration, Tonal 2, you can ensure your workout is more tailored and effective than ever. Tonal's at-home strength training system uses adaptive weight to learn from your movement and set the optimal weight for every move, adjusting in 1 pound increments up to 250 pounds, challenging even the most advanced users to push their limits. You can also experience a full body burn with the new Arrowhit workouts, the perfect blend of heart-pumping cardio and strength. Plus, the new built-in Smart View leverages a high-resolution camera that lets you see yourself during your workout, analyzes your movement, and provides real-time coaching, just like a personal trainer. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code TONAL200. That's Tonal.com and use promo code TONAL200 for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com, promo code TONAL200 for $200 off.
Attention taxpayers, the IRS is intensifying collections in 2025. If you owe $10,000 or more or have unfiled tax returns, it's time to take action. Tax Network USA's experienced lawyers have saved clients over $1 billion. They're ready to negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Don't risk wage garnishment, property seizure, or losing your home. Call 1-800-278-9000 today. Get the help you need at 1-800-278-9000 or visit tnusa.com.
LifeLock, during tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control, stopping off at payroll, your accountant or a tax preparer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info in your W-2. Just a ticket for criminals to steal your identity. I had my identity stolen. It was horrible. I got LifeLock. I've been a customer ever since. I've never, ever had that problem again. No wonder the IRS reported tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. Get LifeLock today. Don't get your identity stolen. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you can miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's US-based restoration specialist will fix it, backed by the $1 million protection package. Restoration's guaranteed or your money back. Don't mess around with this stuff. I dealt with this for a long time before I had LifeLock. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now, save up to 40% for your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock, use promo code Bongino, or go to lifelock.com/Bongino for 40% off. Terms apply. Do it today.
Hi, I'm George, an economics major at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn with the Constitution Minute.
The Declaration of Independence is more than a bold letter to a British king written by upstart colonists, although it very much is that. The Declaration explains the promise of America, that all men and women are born equal in their possession of natural rights, and that the proper exercise of these rights can lead to a full and deeply satisfying life. Just as the Declaration explains America's promise, the Constitution upholds that promise. Its purpose is to protect the rights of all of us, our natural rights. This establishes the possibility, not the guarantee, that we can have a good life. This is true freedom.
To learn more and get a free pocket Constitution, visit constitutionminute.com. This Constitution Minute was furnished by Hillsdale College.
Making sense of your world. Radio is where I get all of my information. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Register now for your chance to win tickets to the Capitol Remodel and Garden Show, February 21st through the 23rd at the Dulles Expo Center. Get more details on the Capitol Remodel and Garden Show now at WMAL.com/contact.
That the president and Elon Musk are going to be on Hannity tonight. Is that rumor true? Have you heard that? It is true? Where'd you hear that from? That'll be cool. Well, I have a great guest, too. His name is Tom Cotton. We're talking about Tom and a bunch of other issues. Senator from Arkansas, great patriot, served in the military in combat, and is really one of the great thinkers in the U.S. Senate, too. Senator Cotton, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Mark. Thank you for coming on with you. It's always good to be back.
My pleasure. Now, I seem to recall that you were the first one, and I brought this up on radio and TV, to accuse the communist Chinese of having that leak at their lab that resulted in this massive pandemic. And you took a lot of hell for that, didn't you?
Yeah, Mark. And bats are not indigenous to this region of China. They're only bats that big market. So maybe the same thing in Wuhan. And, I expected Chinese communist apparatchiks to attack me, but I think most Americans were quite surprised at how many American elites manned the ramparts on behalf of China as well, in the Washington Post, CNN, and the New York Times. And I recount that in my new book, Things You Can't Say About China.
And I also recall that the New York Times editorial page, after they published your op-ed piece, got very, very angry when you suggested you may have to actually send in the military to put down these riots in Washington, D.C. and the attacking of the White House. Remember that one?
You do, yeah. It's very surprising the rebellion at the start time.
Yeah, well, let me say this. This book you've written, 7 Things You Can't Say About China. I'll tell you why I love this book. Number 1, it's very readable. Number 2, there's no varnish in this thing. You lay it out, and you really, you do comprehensively lay out the case against communist China. And the communist China, both internally and overseas, is stealing our information. They're stealing our military information. They are geographically encircling us. And you go on and on about this regime, things I didn't even know. And I study this stuff all the time. So first of all, what motivated you to write this book?
Mark, I wanted to ring the alarm on the threat that China in the way to you and to your family. Most Americans have a justly low opinion of communist China. I discovered in my conversations with candidates over the years that we don't know about China. Or compromised by Chinese influence. realizes everything I've seen and learned about China in the last 10 plus years in the city of the on the Intelligence Committee, and now as chairman of the Intelligence Committee. And as you said, I wanted to make it easy and reasonable. Pick it up and you know,
China's spending a massive amount of its gross domestic product on its military. Now, it's not doing that for internal security. It's not doing that to attack Taiwan or the Philippines. They're preparing for war, aren't they, Senator?
They are. Not money that they've been spending over the last 25 years, they've had a more than 1,000% increase in their military spending. It's the biggest military build-up in history. Nations don't make that kind of investment in national wealth without being deadly serious and in earnest. And Xi Jinping has been entirely clear that he views Taiwan as the last festering wound to settle all of Communist China's grievances and to be the springboard for Chinese communist ambitions, which is to replace the United States as the world's dominant economic and military power.
And in that view, President Trump agree, right? Because he wants to rebuild our energy sector. He wants to build our industrial might, central part of, you know, in America. He wants to rebuild our financial system. He sees what communist China is doing, and he's very concerned about it, and he's acting on it, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. There's no question that Donald Trump is the strongest president on China we've had in 4 years. He's the strongest president we've ever had on communism. Now won the Civil War in 1949. Even one they could give him any competition would be Eisenhower, and it's only because Ike twice threatened to nuke China over Korea and Taiwan. That's what it takes to give Donald Trump any competition on this front. But what President Trump did in his first term was really change the conventional wisdom about China. For too long, both parties had thought, oh, if we trade with China, even if they take advantage of us, if we build them up and they become wealthy, they'll moderate politically, they'll stop oppressing their people, they won't threaten us. The exact opposite has happened. In one of the great strategic blunders in American history, we have actually fueled the economic rise and therefore the military rise of our most dangerous competitor. President Trump reversed all that in his first term, and he's starting to build on it in his second.
And you lay this out. You lay out how internally also it's loaded with concentration camps and killing fields, whether it's the Uyghurs or Christians or the Tibetans, right?
Yeah, and you know, Mark, just let me take Christians, because I do think many Americans are aware, because of activism and news coverage about the genocide in Tibet over the last many decades and the more recent genocide against the religious and ethnic minority known as the Uyghur people. The Christian persecution is awful as well. Many Arkansans are surprised to learn that China is one of the largest Christian nations in the world. There's an estimate of 100 million practicing Christians. More than half of them have to practice their faith in private and secret unregistered churches, because the other half have to register in churches where they're monitored, spied on, and influenced by Chinese communists. These unregistered Christian churches face the risk of demolition, of arrest, of torture, even of murder. And China is even trying to edit the Bible, Mark, to change the word of God and replace it with the word of man. It is one of the worst nations in the world for the persecution of Christians.
You know, Tom Cotton, I don't just say this because you're on with me right now. This has to be the best book I've ever read on China. And yet it is compact, it's easy to understand, it's in plain English. You really cover the field. We're barely going to do it justice. I want to continue with you, if you don't mind. The book is called 7 Things You Can't Say About China. 7 Things You Can't Say About China. Folks, this is a crucially important book. And I believe in a few years from now, people are going to say it's prescient, because it is. You should grab your copy, Amazon.com right now. 7 Things You Can't Say About China. Today is the first day it's out. We'll be right back.
The worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, huh?
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
When I first learned about the basics of estate planning, it was driven home to me the importance of protecting my family. We all know about creating a will or building a trust, but what people don't know about are how documents can be misconstrued if not properly done. You don't want to leave your assets vulnerable to the government's decisions. That's why I recommend Trust and Will. Be prepared. Protect your family by managing your will or trust online. Trustandwill.com. Use code MARK. You'll get 10% off at trustandwill.com. Code MARK.
Trust and Will is an online estate planning service and is not a law firm. See trustandwill.com for details.
Route 50, John Hanson Highway, eastbound. There is a crash before 202. Traffic is jammed from the BW Parkway. Now, on the BW Parkway northbound in Chevrolet, traffic is slow from 202 to the Beltway. On the Beltway in Montgomery County, inner loop in Chevy Chase, stop and go from Connecticut Avenue to Georgia Avenue. College Park inner loop is stop and go from the 95 interchange to Kenilworth Avenue in Prince George's County. And on the outer loop of the Beltway in PG County, you'll find it slow between the BW Parkway and the Greenbelt Mark Metro Station exit. And now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy, a low around 20. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Afternoon flurries, highs in the mid-20s to lower 30s.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Working hard is worth it if you're seeing results. And when it comes to working out, the same thing is true. You want the maximum benefit in the time you have, and that's exactly what Tonal is built for. And with their latest iteration, Tonal 2, you can ensure your workout is more tailored and effective than ever. Tonal's at-home strength training system uses adaptive weight to learn from your movement and set the optimal weight for every move, adjusting in 1-pound increments up to 250 pounds, challenging even the most advanced users to push their limits. You can also experience a full-body burn with the new Arrowhit workouts, the perfect blend of heart-pumping cardio and strength. Plus, the new built-in Smart View leverages a high-resolution camera that lets you see yourself during your workout, analyzes your movement, and provides real-time coaching, just like a personal trainer. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code TONAL200. That's Tonal.com and use promo code TONAL200 for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com, promo code TONAL200 for $200 off.
LifeLock, during tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control, stopping off at payroll, your accountant or a tax preparer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info in your W-2. Just a ticket for criminals to steal your identity. I had my identity stolen. It was horrible. I got LifeLock. I've been a customer ever since. I've never, ever had that problem again. No wonder the IRS reported tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. Get LifeLock today. Don't get your identity stolen. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, backed by the $1 million protection package. Restoration's guaranteed or your money back. Don't mess around with this stuff. I dealt with this for a long time before I had LifeLock. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now, save up to 40% for your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock, use promo code Bongino, or go to lifelock.com/Bongino for 40% off. Terms apply. Do it today.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for your insight.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
This is a major wake-up call.
Making sense of the news. WMAL. Making sense of the roads. Because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Well, thanks. Well, I'm there on the right. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
We're here with Senator Tom Cotton, a great patriot. Senator has written this fantastic book, 7 Things You Can't Say About China. Folks, I encourage you to get it. Go to Amazon.com. It just came out today. It's a very, very important book. He lays out the whole case about the threat that China is, and he and President Trump have been talking about this for some time. You have in your book here, China's waging economic war against the United States, and that's something President Trump is fighting back about. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Mark, I'm always amused as I write in the book when I see the liberal media say that, President Trump is starting an economic war against China. That's not the case. China has been waging an economic war, most especially against the United States, for decades. President Trump just joined the war in 2017 and continues to battle it now. China has used a combination of pumping up its own companies and attacking our companies to undermine our workers and our industry and our wealth. So in China, it does things like currency manipulation, subsidizing companies, state ownership or influence or direction of companies, even using slave labor, all of which is designed to get their costs down so they can dump products in the United States and in our allies and devastate our economies. They also attack our companies, sometimes through old-fashioned espionage, having spies in companies' buildings, through cyber attacks. They steal intellectual property. They steal schematics, designs, blueprints, trademarks. They also force American companies through working in China and doing business there to go into joint ventures and then force them to transfer their technology to the Chinese partner in the joint venture. And then they kick the American company out. And they've been doing this for decades. And unfortunately, we aided and abetted it for a long time until 8 years ago, President Trump said, we're going to put an end to this. And we finally had a president who stood by his campaign promises, unlike people like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, who promised to crack down on communist China and never did.
And of course, we had, in my view, the Biden family that was on the take. That's a whole nother story. You write here in a very, very important chapter 5, and I went back and read it again, that China has infiltrated our government. Explain to the American people what you mean by that.
Yeah. $1 million into his pockets to enrich the Biden family. All of them that are now pardoned by Joe Biden for the periods in question so they can never be charged with any crimes. But it's not just people as prominent as the Biden family. Many people in Washington are working on behalf of China. They're part of what they call the New China Lobby, former congressmen and senators, aides, administration officials. They go to work for Chinese owned or directed or influenced companies. They are de facto lobbyists, therefore, for the Chinese government. But it's not just in Washington, D.C. It's also happening out in our state capitals and our local governments as well, because China knows those state and local officials can, this de facto lobbyists, if you open a big company or site in someone's city, they're probably going to ask their congressman to pipe down about China. Not just that trading relationship, but say about the death or Hong Kong. Second, it's kind of a farm team. Look at Eric Swalwell. He was co-opted by a Chinese agent who was initially a supporter and then apparently a romantic partner. That's a good example of how China wants to start early at the state and local level, because they know those politicians sometimes go on to Congress or maybe to the White House. And third, in the meantime, they can use those state and local officials to get all kinds of economic benefits, tax breaks, land grants, subsidies, relaxed regulation, as they chase after Chinese business. So it is pervasive in our society that China is running influence operations against their governments, against colleges and universities, against cultural institutions like Hollywood or professional sports. And I lay it all out in 7 things you can't say about China. One of the reasons it's hard to think of these things is because China has so much leverage and influence in American society.
It's an absolutely crucial book, 7 Things You Can't Say About China. Now, you mentioned entertainment and professional sports. I mean, they really do have control, don't they, over the movie industry? Because if you run a movie that dares to criticize them or uses language they don't like, they're not going to run it in China. And these companies, they want to run these movies in China because of all the people that they go to the movie theaters in China, right? And same with professional sports. The purchasing of we saw this with LeBron James, the purchasing of his clothing and so forth.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, we haven't seen the Chinese villain really since at least the mid-1990s. In 1997, Brad hard in 7 years in Tibet. the Chinese communists came down on him and his studio like a ton of bricks. Hollywood got the picture. If they wanted to access the massive and lucrative Chinese movie market, they could have no Chinese villains. So all the great movies you saw with Russian villains during the Cold War, you don't see anything like that against China right now. Or consider our news media. Every major news network, except for Fox News, is owned by or affiliated with one of those Hollywood studios. Do you really think that ABC is going to tell you the bare facts and truth about China when they're owned by Disney, which doesn't just want to access the movie market in China, but also has massive theme parks there? I certainly don't think so.
And higher education, I mean, they've bought themselves right into the classroom in these colleges and universities, haven't they?
Other universities, now related or aligned with the official or the People's Liberation Army leadership. They usually pay full freight tuition. Universities use that to underwrite their budget because you have all of these Chinese coming in and paying the full freight for tuition so they can give breaks to other students or more scholarships, spend money on campus infrastructure and so forth. Until Donald Trump shut them down, you had so-called Confucius Institutes, which were really little more than outposts on campus of Chinese espionage. And there are direct grants, too, that China, either directly or through intermediaries, makes massive grants the way American philanthropists do to our universities, and they're not even disclosed. Supposed to be disclosed. That's what the law demands. But the Department of Education, until the final days of the Trump administration, has never enforced those disclosure requirements. And they continued that practice in the Biden administration. It's just another example of how China co-ops higher education in America.
And China has built these strong alliances now with Russia, with North Korea, and Iran. It's not an iron triangle, it's an iron square, if you will. And this is of grave concern to us, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, Chinese weaponry is being used in Ukraine right now by Russians. China has always protected North Korea. It's always been a fiction that China would want to stop North Korea from going nuclear or would be a partner in trying to denuclearize North Korea. How would they do that? They know those missiles are going to fly to the west and hit China because North Korea knows what would happen. They know those missiles might fly one day to the east, or maybe more to the point that it's a massive, grave danger to the United States to have a nuclear-armed North Korea with missiles that can hit the United States. So we spend immense amount of political and diplomatic time and effort dealing with that problem. Take that problem away, and we spend all that time and effort on China. So China has always underwritten North Korea, and the same thing with Iran. China and Iran have a rich and deep trading relationship. China has been getting oil from Iran. They also have a lot to do in the weapons trade as well.
China is in Central America, South America, the Panama Canal. China's all through our hemisphere, isn't it?
They are. They don't have any military, but they are to it. That's one reason why we wanted to Greenland, because it's agricultural too. Take a look at the Panama Canal. Companies are operating on the first side of that. It's a great for international security or economic security. Trying to shift now during the period of overseas Taiwan and trade policy. I'm also going to between the economic and relationship. More dollars around the world. No economic.
You know, America, we barely touched the surface in this book, and it's laid out so beautifully. You can really knock this out in one night or one weekend, and you'll know more about what communist China is doing and the grave threat that we face economically, politically, geographically, militarily, and that it has, in fact, insinuated itself in every aspect of this country. It's a very, very important book that the communist Chinese, I guarantee, don't want you to read. I strongly encourage you to read it. You can get it on Amazon.com. It just came out today. Amazon.com, any major bookstore. But if you want it tomorrow or the next day, you get it at Amazon.com. It'll drop off, and you'll see what I mean about how readable this is. It's not written for eggheads and people like that. It's written as an alarm to we, the people. 7 Things You Can't Say About China by Senator Tom Cotton. Great book, Senator. I want to thank you for writing it, and God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right, you too. Take care of yourself. Man is a real patriot. 7 things you can't say about China. He's been on the China watch from day one. He is as solid as they come. He's a great patriot. He has fought for this country, and he's fighting for our country right now. 7 things you can't say about China. You can grab it on Amazon.com, and I want to strongly encourage you to do exactly that. What's that again, Mr. Producer? Okay, my problem, ladies and gentlemen, is my printer's not working. It's always something here. So I'm a little slow in moving from one section to another. You know, I believe every election could have an impact on our financial system, and post-election changes are important to pay attention to. Whether it's when inflation is high, like now, government spending, or changes in tax laws are taking place, your investments could be affected, your money, whether it's in a savings account, an IRA, whatever it is. That's why I've always relied on diversification, and I've always relied on gold for protection. And it's been said to be a timeless safeguard against economic uncertainty, one that I encourage you to inform yourselves about. And when it comes to gold, I trust one company, Advantage Gold. Why? I've dealt with many others. They're one of the top companies in America, and you can tell when you deal with them. And that's who I turn to when I buy gold. I want to encourage you strongly to give them a call and get their free gold investment kit, which lays it all out. 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. I had people come up to me on the street, literally, and ask me, where do I get information about gold? Here it is, 800-900-8000. Get your free gold investment kit. See how gold can help protect your hard-earned money, too. And when you do, you might even qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Don't wait. Call right now. 800-900-8000. They're there right now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary, and you should always consult your financial and tax professional. I'll be right back.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
LifeLock, during tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control, stopping off at payroll, your accountant or a tax preparer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info in your W-2. Just a ticket for criminals to steal your identity. I had my identity stolen. It was horrible. I got LifeLock. I've been a customer ever since. I've never, ever had that problem again. No wonder the IRS reported tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. Get LifeLock today. Don't get your identity stolen. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, backed by the $1 million protection package. Restoration's guaranteed or your money back. Don't mess around with this stuff. I dealt with this for a long time before I had LifeLock. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now, save up to 40% for your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock, use promo code Bongino, or go to lifelock.com/Bongino for 40% off. Terms apply. Do it today.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish@wish.org.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at USO.org today.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS. SIDS? You know, sudden infant death syndrome. Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
You can afford anything, but not everything.
Being poor sucks.
You especially cannot afford to miss the Afford Anything podcast, hosted by Paula Pant.
Is this obvious?
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
This country was founded on freedom. Freedom from a country that forced us to buy overpriced tea, then tried blockading us when we dumped their tea into the ocean. How did that work out? Well, it's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard too, folks. You don't need to pay $100 per person every month just to get a free phone. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, says no to inflated prices. With a qualifying plan, you can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. And yes, this is for the premium service on America's most dependable 5G network. Get your iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy for $0 with a qualifying plan by simply dialing pound 250 and say the keyword Mark Levin, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you make the switch as little as 10 minutes. So dial pound 250, say the keyword Mark Levin to claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with qualifying purchase. From Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
Making sense of your world. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Greatly appreciated.
Making sense of the news. Breaking news and the inside story on 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Who is it, Rich? I think it's on the screen. Yep. 30 seconds, then we'll jump back in. Don't worry. Don't worry. You could play the background as I remind people, ladies and gentlemen, this show is heard worldwide, obviously nationwide. On terrestrial radio, we call it AM and FM. Here is satellite, here is XM. We appreciate them. The Mark Levin app, the iHeart Radio app. Thank you, iHeart. Live streamed on 400 radio stations. We also have our own YouTube channel. You can listen to the show, our podcasts, and our interviews. You go to youtube.com and Mark Levin Show, or just search Mark Levin Show on YouTube. You can find it all there, the interviews, the specials we do on YouTube, and the full podcast. Also, speaking of the podcast, go to marklevinshow.com, click on Audio Rewind at the top, and pick your favorite podcast platform. Or go to your favorite podcast platform and search Mark Levin Show and subscribe for free. Now, if I was just a freak about getting the highest podcast numbers, or the highest radio numbers, or the highest this numbers, or that numbers, what would I do? I'd leave radio and just do a podcast. Or I wouldn't do a podcast at all. I'd shut down the YouTube channel. We are ubiquitous. We are everywhere. And that's the goal. And that's the point.
He's playing music.
Always listen to this show or whatever it is. Or you just want to listen to it at a different time of the year. Different time of the day. All right. The April 15th tax deadline is coming fast, and I mean fast. You have unfiled tax returns? Can't pay the IRS? The IRS is more aggressive than ever. The longer you wait, the worse it gets.
They're all worked up, both Acid and Wiggin. Wiggin's cloning me. He watches, he takes images. He tries to, I can't get it. Wiggin is fucking mad. That boy is fucking throwing a fit. He's digging into his diapers and fucking pulling shit out and flinging it and everything. He's so fucking mad. And then acid drip. Nobody watching him. Nobody goes to his. Wiggin cloning me in Vegas. Him and his little fucked up crew, especially you, Charlie. Charlie, you're nothing but a fat fuck. Fat, lazy fuck. You guys are incestuous. Are you still buddy with Petros? You guys are fucked up. You really are. I'm glad you don't fucking. I mean, well, Paul comes in here. You guys, you're chicken. You come in here. I mean, Paul does, but they, what good is it? What good does it do you? Every time I go live, you come in here. You think you're gonna get a different result? You think I'm gonna quit? Look at, I'm picking my nose. Look at, yeah. You're an idiot, Wiggin. Fucking blood ass crybaby motherfucker you are. Wow. They think they're gonna make me mad. I'm already mad, you stupid fuck. Come on, Wiggin, go live. Let's fucking dual match this motherfucker. Come on. I dare you. We'll fucking rebroadcast each other. Chicken shit. I'm going to go take a shower so I can go to bed. I'm shutting this fucker down. I'll tell you what. I'll do last call. I'll post a fucking link. All right. I'll give it a few moments and then I'm leaving. Because I'm going to go jump in the shower. Winter's pretty fucking rough where I live at the moment. They'll be in Vegas all night trolling me. I won't even fucking be there. They'll be in there talking about me. And Wiggin. You're a punk. Fucking Alvaro punk kind of guy. Oh, Ro, I'm leaving. I'm going to take a shower. I got them all going and fucking they're all in Vegas chat. Wiggins fucking cloning me. They got me doing this number, whatever. They probably doctored it. See, this is why I don't edit avatars. I decided against it a long time ago. And I had a nice discussion with Randall about doing that. It's an app you load down, so by me not editing avatars, they know it's not me. I don't make videos. Only videos I make is when I go live. That's my video. So you're not going to see me making memes of fucking Randy. Because if I did, his name would be Rash Man. And he'd have nothing but he'd have a pair of shorts on. A jock. And his fucking red rash all over his body would be showing in between his fucking fat folds. Yeah, JC, you really need to take the plank out of your eye before you. I mean, this thing with Mary Burney. That's easy pickings for huh, JC? You went to Banksy's chat and them others, they fucking threw you out of there, JC. You thought you were one of the boys, didn't you? What's his name there? Capio and that whole fucking crew over there. Whippermano. Yeah, you're a suck fuck, JC. You really are. I come back, I'm going to kick your asses again. Bye, Patrick. I'm leaving. What do you got to say, Patrick? Patrick, you're really not telling me anything I don't know, but I'm glad you're watching, paying attention. You're watching this fucker wig out. Wiggin is fucking tripping. He didn't want me. He did that with Rusty. There's lots you don't know, Patrick. I watched Rusty help him get his stream going. It's been a fucking roller coaster ride. That's his stick. The others do it. See, he doesn't have anything else. Nobody wants to listen to him preach out of the Bible. He's not my spiritual leader. I didn't come here to find a fucking priest or anybody to fucking lecture me about the Bible. Well, fuck you, Wiggin. And your daughter girlfriend there. You guys look horrible together. Lori Ann is right on point about you, daughter of truth. You're a dumb fucker. That's just the kind of women that old Wogan fucking attracts. That fucking wimpy fuck. Yeah, I'll fuck it. Take a shower, go to bed, and I'll be back at 2:00 in the morning. Maybe I'll sleep in. Might not see me until 9. Wednesday. Hump day. You see it, Patrick. Patrick, I think you know more than what you let on, too. Because you're at Shannon's chat. And especially if you were in that space ambient chat, whichever one they were in, right? All that shit going on. You who you calling a damn fool, Patrick? I hope you're not calling me a fool. That ain't good. Well, you know what they say about looks. Don't judge a book by its cover. Wiggins' case. He looks like fucking Walking Dead is what he looks like. Fucker looks like he survived Auschwitz. The fucker, they put him in the gas chamber and turned the fucking heat up and it just fucking bounced off him. Must be fucking radiated or something. I know he's not. This has been going on a long time, Patrick. It's been going on a long time. And then when I went live, then Dougie come up here and helped me do it. I mean, afterwards, he was telling all his friends and everybody it was, he was going to figure it out eventually. He begged me to go live. We talked about it, joked about it. He races all his streams. I'm glad I don't fucking have all that shit chronicled to show it. I don't need to. We all know the truth out here. Why do you think he got so mad at Rocky Goldman? Here's something you don't know, Patrick. A while back, I don't know if you were in Fox 46. It seems like you should have been. Your account is September 2021, so I was here before that by about 3 years. By January 2018, I was in the chats, CNN chat, Juju, Gramps had they restreamed Fox News, and then other people were streaming or whatever. And then I don't know, I guess StreamYard wasn't available until then, but you could still go live in YouTube. DA and all of them would come into Fox 46 and talk about what's going on in some other chat. AJ had a chat, whatever, who had chats. Rocky Goldman had a chat. Logical fallacy, stream of consciousness. I'm a genius. I set my feet on fire. Rusty did a complete dox on that fucking guy. I assume those police reports were right. Oh, is there still a warrant out for his arrest in California? Yeah, he's a genius. All right, I said enough. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to shut this puppy down.